Welcome to Queer History in Edmonton, a video series that will highlight events and speakers that contribute to our city's vibrant LGBTQ2S+ community and history. Today's video will feature prominent local educator, politician, and LGBTQ2S+ activist Michael Phair. Michael is one of the founders of the AIDS Network of Edmonton Society, which formed in 1984 in response to the growing number of AIDS diagnoses impacting the gay community internationally, as well as the first identified case in Edmonton. In 1999, the AIDS Network of Edmonton changed its name to HIV Edmonton, and its invaluable work continues to support individuals impacted by HIV/AIDS while raising awareness and combating stigma associated with it. Today, Michael will be telling us a little bit more about the founding of the AIDS Network Society of Edmonton.
I'm Michael Phair, one of the founders of AIDS Network Edmonton. 34 years ago, on August 1st, Canada Day, was the first individual identified with AIDS in Edmonton. That was Ross Armstrong. There were cases elsewhere in North America, but that was the first here. On the eve on Canada Day in the evening, I had a group of people here for a Canada Day party kind of thing, and that lots of friends. And I had just come back from San Francisco a couple weeks ago where I'd been studying. While we were here talking, and that a lot of people asked me about what was happening with AIDS in San Francisco, and of course it was a terrible scene there with hundreds of gay men who were sick and dying kind of thing and that. So interestingly enough, the next day, the day after Canada Day, Walter Cavalieri, who was here that evening, got a call from the media asking what we were doing in Edmonton, the gay community, about AIDS. And he said, call Michael Phair. He's doing something. And I got a call and was like, I wasn't doing anything. But because I talked about it, he assumes that. Anyway, I had the presence to say to the media at that time that we'd call them back. Yes, we were doing stuff. So in the next couple of days, I called and six of us gathered around my table where I'm sitting right now in my home, the kitchen table, which is here in front of you, and decided and started to move forward. Two of the people here, one of them from Gay Alliance Towards Equality, Walter, and then Liz Messiah, who was a social worker, both insisted that we use the name AIDS Network of Edmonton, that we need to make sure that other kinds of groups and institutions and governments were part of dealing with AIDS in Edmonton, not just our group. And so that's the name that we chose, and that's how it got its name. After that first getting together, that we met a few other times, and we very fortunately with the GATE, we became a committee. And by the end of the year, as we moved into Christmas in the beginning of 1985, we had amassed some small amount of money. $800 from the drag queens. The Court of Wild Rose was the first money we got. Then from the Clifford Lee Foundation, and we did a fundraiser in Victoria Park called Alice in Victoria Park. And of course, I was the Queen of Hearts, kind of thing, naturally. And that we also had, we're advertising or letting people know where we were. And part of that was a phone number, which was my home phone number. So people would call me on this phone days before cell phones. They could not leave a message. I couldn't leave a message on. So oftentimes it was evenings or nights that I got called, and a couple times from a couple of men who were diagnosed as having AIDS. Usually that was their doctor's office that called them and told them that, and they would call frantic, and it was a very difficult times. But we were moving ahead and getting things done. With that money, we found a realtor in early 1985 to look for some space for an office. Every place we looked at, as soon as they found out who we were, the landlord, they didn't want us. So about the end of February, I got a call from the media about what we were doing and how we were doing. And I mentioned that although we had money, we couldn't find any place to rent to have an office and that. That got into the radio, TV, and newspapers that we were not able to find a place. We had money. A couple days later, I got a call from actually a woman who worked in the city who told me that in the building department of the city, they have oftentimes buildings where they have space available that they do rent to nonprofit organizations, and I should call a person and phone that number that she provided, which I did. And I think 3 weeks later, we were signing a lease in a small building that is now where the Winspear Center is, a 2-story brick building. We were on the 2nd floor. We moved in, and with that, we became also an official society, the AIDS Network of Edmonton, with our own office and space for people to work, including I could get rid of and have a different I would get rid of the Xerox machine I had in my house to do the work, and there was another phone that people would call, and then as such. And that was the beginnings of the AIDS Network of Edmonton back in 84-85.
For more information on the founding of the AIDS Network, or to learn more about the work of HIV Edmonton, visit hivedmonton.com or check out the Gay and Lesbian Archives of Edmonton and the City Archives.